The Great Barrier Reef, a renowned ecosystem on our planet, is facing a critical situation. It's dying.
Rising ocean temperatures and a surge in tropical storms have put tremendous stress on sections of the Great Barrier Reef in recent years.
Experts are now sounding the alarm that the recent coral bleaching event that's still unfolding at the reef is yet another clear warning. But what exactly is eating away at the Great Barrier Reef? And how much longer before our planet's most beautiful and largest coral reef system is destroyed? Join us as we unravel why and just how the Great Barrier Reef is dying. The Great Barrier Reef, an extraordinary underwater world, is the largest coral reef system on Earth, spanning an impressive 2,300 kilometers and encompassing over 2,900 individual reefs and 900 islands, covering about 344,400 square kilometers. Located in the Coral Sea off the coast of Queensland, Australia, it is separated from the shore by a 160-kilometer-wide channel, plunging over 61 meters deep in some places. Visible even from outer space, the reef is the largest single structure created by living organisms, crafted by tiny creatures called coral polyps. Recognized for its ecological importance, it became a World Heritage Site in 1981 and one of the 7 natural wonders of the world in 1997. The Queensland National Trust also designated it as a state icon in 2006. The reef holds cultural significance for Aboriginal Australian and Torres Strait Islander peoples and attracts tourists globally, contributing over $3 billion Australian dollars annually to the region's economy. To preserve this underwater treasure, a significant portion falls under the protection of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park, aiming to mitigate the impact of human activities on the delicate ecosystem. But before we dive into why the Great Barrier Reef is dying, let's go back in time and take a look at how it all started. You see, the rich history of the reef spans not only through the ages of the Aboriginal Australian and Torres Strait Islander peoples, but also echoes the footsteps of European explorers. In 1770, James Cook, aboard the HMS Endeavour, became the first European to lay eyes on this majestic wonder as he sailed and meticulously mapped Australia's east coast. Unfortunately, his ship ran aground on a shoal south of present-day Cooktown, requiring 7 weeks for repairs.
Maritime experts confirm they've located Captain James Cook's ship HMS Endeavour.
The name Great Barrier Reef was given by Matthew Flinders in 1802 as a result of his detailed mapping efforts. Flinders used terms like Great Reef and Barrier Reef to describe the collection of reefs. Geologically, the reef is a distinctive feature of the East Australian Cordillera Division, stretching from Torres Strait in the north to the passage between Lady Elliot Island and Fraser Island in the south. Continuous geological changes, including volcanic activity and tectonic uplift, have played a crucial role in shaping the reef's development. If you've ever seen the majestic Himalayas, you can thank tectonic uplifts for those jaw-dropping wonders. It's like the Earth is a massive baking dough, and tectonic uplifts are the yeast that makes it rise. According to the plate tectonic theory, Australia has been steadily moving northward at a rate of 7 centimeters per year since the Cenozoic era. About 25 million years ago, the region was in temperate waters south of the tropics, unsuitable for coral growth. The reef's complex development continued as Queensland drifted into tropical waters. The current substrate of the reef was formed from eroded sediments of the Great Dividing Range, with the earliest complete reef structures dating back 600,000 years, according to the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority. Various reef structures in the Great Barrier Reef include fringing reefs and lagoonal reefs, most prevalent in the southern part. Crescentic reefs dominate the central area, while the planar reefs grace the northern and southern parts, with many islands scattered across these formations. The reef supports a remarkable array of life, hosting many vulnerable or endangered species, with some potentially unique to the reef system. The underwater realm is teeming with marine life, including 30 species of cetaceans, such as the dwarf minke whale, Indo-Pacific humpback dolphin, and humpback whale. Dugongs, gentle marine herbivores, inhabit large populations in the region. The reef is also home to over 1,500 fish species, including iconic ones like clownfish, red bass, red-throat emperor, snapper, and coral trout. 6 species of sea turtles, including the green sea turtle and leatherback sea turtle, travel to the reef to breed. Other notable inhabitants of the reef include saltwater crocodiles, various sharks, stingrays, skates, and chimera. Avian life is equally impressive, with 215 species of birds, including 22 seabird species and 32 shorebird species, visiting, nesting, or roosting on the islands. Nesting sites are particularly concentrated in the northern and southern regions, hosting 1.4 to 1.7 million birds during breeding seasons. Diving deeper into the underwater world, the reef is home to an astounding 400 species of coral. The islands of the reef also support a rich fabric of plant life, with 2,195 known plant species, including 3 endemics. Concerns about the reef's health have arisen, with studies showing a significant loss of coral cover since 1985. The urgency to protect this natural wonder for future generations is highlighted by the impact of major coral bleaching events.
Australia's Great Barrier Reef has experienced another mass bleaching event.
This bleaching occurs when corals lose their vibrant colors and turn white, killing many corals. Worsened by rising ocean temperatures, coral bleaching has been extensive, and setbacks like a drop in baby coral birth rates and a 2018 natural selection event triggered by past bleaching events further threaten its ecosystem. In addition, a confirmed mass bleaching event in March 2022, compounded by the potential impacts of the El Niño weather phenomenon, raises heightened concerns for the reef's future. You see, El Niño is like the rock star of weather events. It happens every few years and shakes things up big time. Imagine the Pacific Ocean's central and eastern parts getting all warmed up at the same time. This disrupts the usual weather condition, causing a domino effect on a global scale. During El Niño, it's like these winds take a break, letting warm water pile up around the ocean, further affecting the reef. Exactly what causes the winds to weaken and change the circulation of warm water in the Pacific is still not fully understood, and researchers continue to work to better understand this phenomenon.
All agencies are expecting an El Niño to arrive. It's just that the Americans have said it's arrived today.
A study in 2020 revealed that the reef lost more than half of its corals since 1995 due to climate-driven warmer seas. As global warming persists, corals can't cope with rising temperatures, leading to increased disease susceptibility and negative effects on reef communities. In July 2017, UNESCO expressed serious concern about coral bleaching's impact on the Great Barrier Reef. The reef also faces a significant challenge due to the harmful effects of pollution and declining water quality. This problem is particularly severe during tropical flood events when rivers in northeastern Australia transport pollutants into the reef. Surprisingly, more than 90% of this pollution comes from runoff from farms. The extensive use of about 80% of the land near the reef for farming, including the intensive cultivation of sugarcane and substantial beef cattle grazing, contributes significantly to this issue. Farming practices like overgrazing lead to increased runoff of agricultural sediments, nutrients, and various chemicals, such as fertilizers, herbicides, and pesticides, posing a threat to coral health and overall reef biodiversity. A 2016 report indicates that while higher regulations have reduced pollution from other land uses like industry, mining, port development, dredging, and urban development, these activities can still have locally significant impacts. For instance, sediments carrying high levels of copper and other heavy metals from the Oak Tedi mine in Papua New Guinea pose a potential pollution risk for the far northern Great Barrier Reef and Torres Strait regions. A report from the ARC Center of Excellence for Coral Reef Studies highlights that 67% of corals in the worst-hit northern section have succumbed to the effects of this pollution. The runoff issue is worsened by the loss of coastal wetlands, which traditionally act as natural filters for toxins and help deposit sediment.
The Australian Institute of Marine Science annual report has found the Great Barrier Reef now have record coral cover.
Declining water quality is attributed to increased competition for light and oxygen from algae. In addition, runoff from farming releases nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium into the ecosystem, leading to excessive algal growth, a process known as eutrophication. This in turn reduces oxygen availability for other marine organisms, negatively impacting biodiversity and altering species composition. A study by Katharina Fabricius and Glenn Diath of the Australian Institute of Marine Science found that reefs farther from agricultural areas had almost double the number of hard corals. Additionally, sediment runoff from farming carries chemicals into the reef environment, reducing the amount of light available to corals and hindering their ability to extract energy from their surroundings. In 2009 and 2011, Queensland Nickel, a mining company, discharged nitrate-laden water into the reef, releasing a substantial amount of wastewater. Despite the Reef Marine Park Authority strongly encouraging the company to explore alternatives, the lack of legislative control over the management of the Yabulu Dam complicates the regulation of such potential hazards.
Queensland's Environment Department is investigating elevated levels of ammonia at Clive Palmer's nickel refinery near Townsville.
Another threat to the reef is the crown-of-thorns starfish, which prey on coral polyps. Large outbreaks of these starfish can devastate reefs, as witnessed in 2000, contributing to a 66% loss of live coral cover on sampled reefs. These outbreaks are believed to occur in natural cycles, but are worsened by poor water quality and the overfishing of the starfish's predators. Speaking of overfishing, unsustainable overfishing of keystone species, such as the giant triton, disrupts crucial food chains vital to reef life. Fishing activities also impact the reef through increased water pollution from boats, bycatch of unwanted species, and habitat destruction from trawling, anchors, and nets. Approximately 1/3 of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park is protected from any form of species removal, including fishing, without written permission. Additionally, shipping accidents pose a pressing concern, with several commercial shipping routes passing through the reef. Despite the challenges of navigating through the reef pilots consider it safer in the event of mechanical failure, as ships can safely anchor while undergoing repairs. The region has witnessed over 1,600 known shipwrecks, with notable incidents such as the bulk coal carrier Shenyang 1 running aground on Douglas Shoals in 2010, causing a spill of up to 4 tons of oil and extensive damage to the reef.
The Shenyang 1 had strayed outside the shipping lane when it came to grief, causing major environmental harm.
In March 2015, the Australian and Queensland governments collaborated to create the Reef 2050 Plan, a comprehensive strategy designed to protect the Great Barrier Reef's universal heritage until 2050. As part of the Reef 2050 plan, a $443 million Australian dollar grant was allocated to the Great Barrier Reef Foundation in 2018. However, this grant faced criticism due to concerns about bypassing proper tender and transparency processes. Over 35 years, the plan addresses persistent threats such as pollution, climate change, and environmental challenges that pose risks to the longevity and value of this global treasure. Key components of the plan include a long-term sustainability plan, a water quality improvement plan, and an investment plan dedicated to safeguarding the reef until 2050. Despite its emphasis on protective measures like enhancing water quality, reef restoration, and addressing predatory starfish, the Reef 2050 plan has faced criticism for not explicitly including additional measures to address the root cause of the issue, that is, climate change fueled by greenhouse gas emissions. Experts question whether the plan is adequate to protect the fragile environment, especially given the limited time remaining before reaching the critical 1.5 degrees Celsius warming threshold, which is a crucial temperature limit for coral reefs. The Australian government, dedicated to safeguarding the reef since 1972, established the Australian Institute of Marine Science. Contributions of around $142.5 million from the Australian and Queensland governments supported the National Environmental Science Program, providing crucial data on threats to the reef. The Reef 2050 Water Quality Improvement Plan, introduced in 2018, aims to shift local communities, agricultural organizations, and industries toward more sustainable practices. This plan involves collaboration between the Queensland Government and the Reef Marine Park Authority to manage runoff and address crown-of-thorns starfish population flare-ups. The human use aspect emphasizes the historical significance of the reef to Aboriginal Australian and Torres Strait Islander peoples, who have inhabited the region for tens of thousands of years. Over the years, various conservation policies have been implemented to protect the reef, including the establishment of the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park in 1975 and initiatives like the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act of 1999. The marine bioregional planning process, guided by this legislation, aims to conserve marine biodiversity by considering the entire ecosystem and implementing marine reserves. Despite updates in 2009, challenges persist, with progress varying across different actions outlined in the plan. The Abbott Point Coalport dredge dumping controversy in 2013 sparked environmental concerns. Approval for dredging to create shipping terminals resulted in the dumping of dredged seabed within the Reef Marine Park area. Public outcry over potential harms, including water quality degradation and release of toxic substances, led to a ban on dredge spoil dumping in the Reef Marine Park, highlighting ongoing efforts to balance economic interests with environmental preservation. The devastating decline of the once vibrant Great Barrier Reef is a tragedy not only for Australia, but for the entire world. That is, we all have a role to play in protecting our oceans. Do you think there's more behind the destruction of one of Earth's most glorious living wonders? And what steps do you think can be taken to give the Great Barrier Reef a fighting chance?